Hi, everyone. Quick one for you. Make sure you subscribe and like before we start. Thank you. The wedding is just a few days away, and I can feel the excitement building around me. My friends and family are buzzing with energy, preparing for what's supposed to be the happiest day of my life. I stand in the middle of it all, the center of attention, the man who's about to marry the woman of his dreams. Everyone says I'm lucky. I've built a successful career, found a stunning fiancée, and now I'm about to start the next chapter of my life. But something feels off. Even as I force a smile and thank my best man for organizing the bachelor party, I met Emily 2 years ago. She was everything I wanted. Beautiful, charismatic, and smart. We clicked instantly, our chemistry undeniable. I remember our first date vividly. She walked into the restaurant wearing a red dress that hugged her curves just right, and I was done for. Her laughter, her touch, the way she looked at me, it all felt like magic. I fell hard and I fell fast. Before I knew it, I was planning our future together. Now, as I think about how far we've come, I can't shake the unease. I try to dismiss it as pre-wedding jitters, but it lingers, gnawing at the edges of my mind. My best friend Jason has been with me through it all. He's the kind of guy who tells it like it is, and he's had his doubts about Emily from the start. But I've always brushed them off, convinced he was just being overprotective. My mom, too, has been wary. She never warmed up to Emily, always insisting there was something she couldn't quite put her finger on. I chalked it up to jealousy or old-fashioned stubbornness. After all, who wouldn't be wary of the woman taking their son away? The other night, I came home late, tired, and ready to crash. I was halfway up the stairs when I heard her voice. Emily was on the phone, talking quietly in the living room. I don't know what made me stop, but I did, just in time to hear her say, "Honey, don't worry, my marriage won't impact our love. As soon as I get his money, Mom, I'll get you out of jail." My blood ran cold. I stood frozen on the stairs, my heart pounding so loud I was sure she'd hear it. Who was she talking to, and what did she mean, get his money? I crept closer, careful not to make a sound. She kept talking, her voice calm, almost soothing. "Just a little longer, and we'll have everything we need." Then she laughed, a soft, seductive sound that had once made my heart skip. Now it twisted like a knife in my gut. Everything I thought I knew about her, about us, shattered in an instant. I backed away, slipped out the door, and drove for hours trying to make sense of what I'd heard. By the time I returned, I knew one thing. The wedding would go on, but not as she planned. I sit in my car, the engine running, my mind spinning. The words I overheard keep replaying in my head, slicing through me like a dull blade. Emily, my Emily, has been using me. The woman I was ready to marry, to spend my life with, was never really mine. I gripped the steering wheel until my knuckles turned white, trying to control the rage boiling inside me. But it's no use. My heart feels like it's being crushed in a vice, and the betrayal burns deep. I can't go home. Not yet. I drive aimlessly through the night, the city lights blurring past me. My thoughts are a chaotic mess of anger, hurt, and confusion. How could I have been so blind? How did I not see the signs? Every memory of us together, every touch, every kiss, now feels tainted, false. My mind shifts to Jason's warnings, my mother's skepticism. They all saw something I didn't, or maybe refused to see. And now I'm paying the price for my ignorance. Hours later, I find myself parked at the Overlook where Emily and I had our first real conversation about the future. Back then, this place held hope, dreams of what could be. Now it feels like a graveyard for all those dreams. I lean back in my seat and close my eyes, trying to make sense of everything. What should I do? Confront her? Demand answers? But what good would that do? She'd just lie, twist the truth like she's done all along? No, I need to think bigger. If she's been playing me, I'll turn the tables. The wedding is just days away. She won't see it coming, not if I play my cards right. But first, I need to know more. Who is this man she's trying to help? What's their history? And how deep does her deception go? The next morning, I meet with my lawyer, Martin. He's a sharp, no-nonsense guy who's handled my business affairs for years. I tell him everything. Well, almost everything. I keep the emotional turmoil to myself, focusing on the facts. Martin listens, his face a mask of professionalism, but I can see the concern in his eyes. We need to gather evidence, he says, his voice steady. If what you're saying is true, you could be in serious trouble if you go through with the marriage. I nod, already knowing that. What do we do? I'll start digging into her background, see what I can find on this ex-lover of hers. But you need to keep up appearances. Act like nothing's wrong. If she suspects anything, she might bolt, and then we'll lose our chance to expose her. Act like nothing's wrong. The thought makes me sick, but I know it's the only way. I agree, and we start to put together a plan. I'll collect what evidence I can, texts, emails, anything that might prove her intentions. Martin will handle the legal side, making sure we're covered if things go south. As I leave Martin's office, I feel a strange sense of calm. It's like I've crossed a line and there's no going back. I'm not just the victim anymore. I'm in control, and I'm going to make sure she pays for what she's done. The days leading up to the wedding are torture. I play my part, smiling when I need to, acting the excited groom-to-be, all while my insides twist with anger and betrayal. Emily, for her part, seems oblivious. She's busy with last-minute preparations, making sure everything is perfect for the big day. Watching her now, knowing what I know, I see her in a different light. The warmth in her smile feels cold, calculated. The way she touches me, kisses me, all feels like a performance, an act she's perfected to get what she wants. And yet, there are moments when I almost forget, when she looks at me with those big, innocent eyes, and I catch myself wondering if I imagined it all. But then the memory of that phone call crashes back, and the doubt is replaced by cold, hard resolve. I won't let her fool me again. Late one night after she's fallen asleep, I start going through her phone. She's always been careful, but I managed to find a few texts, enough to confirm what I already know. She's still in contact with him, her ex, and they've been planning this for months. The messages are short, cryptic, but the meaning is clear. They think they've won. They think I'm just a pawn in their game. The discovery strengthens my resolve. I won't just walk away. I'm going to make sure everyone knows who she really is. And I'm going to make sure she doesn't get a single penny from me. As the wedding day approaches, I feel the tension building inside me. It's like a storm gathering on the horizon, dark and ominous, ready to unleash its fury. I spend more time with Jason, pretending to be excited, while secretly briefing him on what I've found. Jason is furious when I tell him, ready to confront her himself, but I manage to convince him to wait. Timing is everything. The night before the wedding, we all gather for the rehearsal dinner. Emily is radiant, playing the role of the loving bride-to-be to perfection. I watch her closely, every laugh, every gesture, and I wonder how she can lie so easily, how she can stand there surrounded by my friends, my family, and not feel an ounce of guilt. But that's who she is, I remind myself. She's a master manipulator, and she's been playing me from the start. After the dinner, Emily pulls me aside, her eyes sparkling with what I now recognize as feigned affection. "I can't believe we're finally getting married tomorrow," she says, wrapping her arms around me. "I've waited for this day my whole life." I force a smile, pulling her closer, feeling her body pressed against mine. The warmth of her skin, the scent of her hair, it all feels like a cruel joke now. But I play my part, whispering sweet nothings in her ear, my hands exploring her curves, pretending to be the doting fiancé. The intimacy is bittersweet, tinged with the knowledge of her betrayal, but I need to keep up the act. Later that night, as we lie in bed, her head resting on my chest, I stare at the ceiling, my mind racing. Tomorrow, everything will change. She'll get what she deserves, and I'll finally be free of this nightmare. But there's a part of me that's still torn, still clinging to the hope that maybe, just maybe, there's some explanation, some way this isn't as bad as it seems. But I know better. I've seen the texts, heard the phone call. There's no denying what she's done. The morning of the wedding arrives and I'm up before the sun, my mind buzzing with anticipation. The plan is in place. Martin has everything ready and Jason is on board. All I need to do is get through the ceremony, make my move, and watch her world crumble. But just as I'm about to leave for the venue, I get a call from Martin. "We've got a problem," he says, his voice tense. "Emily's ex, the guy she's been talking to, he's not just some petty criminal. He's involved in something big. And if you go through with this, you could be in serious danger." Danger, the word hits me like a punch to the gut. I knew this was risky, but I didn't expect this. "What do you mean?" "There's more to this than just marriage fraud. He's connected to some major players, and if you expose her, you might be exposing yourself to more than just a lawsuit. This could get ugly." I feel the ground shift beneath me. I thought I was in control, but now it feels like the rug is being pulled out from under me. What do we do? "I'm working on it," Martin says, his tone reassuring. "But you need to be careful. Don't do anything rash. We might need to adjust the plan." I hang up, my mind reeling. Everything I've planned, everything I've prepared for now feels like it's hanging by a thread. Emily's betrayal was one thing, but this is something else entirely. I thought I was just dealing with a gold digger, but now it seems I'm caught up in something much bigger, something dangerous. As I get dressed, slipping into the suit that was supposed to be for the happiest day of my life, I can't shake the feeling that things are spiraling out of control. I wanted revenge, justice, but now I'm not so sure. What if Martin's right? What if exposing her puts me in harm's way? But I can't back down now. I've come too far. I look at myself in the mirror, trying to see the man I was before all this started. But he's gone, replaced by someone harder, colder. I know I have to go through with this, but the fear, the uncertainty, is like a shadow lurking just out of sight, waiting to pounce. The drive to the venue is a blur. The closer I get, the more the dread builds in my chest. I arrive, greeted by the wedding planner who's buzzing around, making sure everything is perfect. Guests are already arriving, filling the grand hall with laughter and chatter. Emily is in the bridal suite getting ready, no doubt feeling on top of the world, completely unaware of the storm that's about to hit her. I force myself to smile, to shake hands, to play the part one last time. But inside, I'm a mess. My mind races with all the possibilities, all the ways this could go wrong. The weight of what's coming presses down on me, almost suffocating, and then I see him. Across the room, standing near the bar, is a man I've never met but instantly recognize, Emily's ex. He's here at my wedding, and the look in his eyes tells me he's not here to celebrate. He's here to make sure things go his way, to make sure I don't do anything to jeopardize their plan. A cold sweat breaks out on my forehead. This is it, the moment of truth. I can feel the tension in the air, crackling like electricity, ready to ignite. The question is, will I survive the explosion? I sit in the car parked a few blocks from the wedding venue. My heart is racing and I can feel the pulse in my temples. The air inside the car feels thick, almost suffocating. I'm trying to control my breathing, trying to calm the storm inside me, but it's no use. Everything is set. The plan is in motion, but the presence of Emily's ex at the venue has thrown everything into chaos. I don't know what he's planning, but I know I need to stay sharp, stay focused. I glance at my phone, considering calling Jason, but I can't risk being seen talking to him. Not now. Instead, I close my eyes and try to visualize the day ahead, every step, every move. I've played it out in my head 100 times, but now it feels different, like I'm teetering on the edge of something I can't fully control. I take a deep breath and step out of the car, the cool morning air hitting me like a slap to the face. The streets are quiet, almost eerily so, as I make my way to the venue. My mind races, thinking about the evidence we've gathered, the recording I've got saved on my phone, the documents Martin has prepared. Everything rides on today. There's no room for error. As I enter the building, I'm greeted by the wedding planner, who's fussing over the final details. I force a smile, nodding along as she talks about the seating arrangements and the flowers, but my mind is elsewhere. I scan the room looking for Emily's ex, but he's nowhere to be seen. A small relief, but it doesn't last. I know he's here, lurking somewhere, waiting. I head to the groom's suite to meet Jason. He's pacing the room when I walk in, his face a mask of concern. "You look like shit," he says, trying to lighten the mood. "I feel like it too," I mutter, sinking into a chair. I glance at the clock on the wall. The ceremony is less than an hour away. Jason sits across from me, his voice low. "You sure about this? We can still call it off." "No," I say firmly. "We're going through with it. She needs to be exposed, and this is the only way." He nods, but I can see the doubt in his eyes. "Just be careful, okay? That guy showing up changes things. We don't know what he's planning." "I know," I say, trying to keep my voice steady, "but we stick to the plan. If he tries anything, we'll deal with it." The next 40 minutes pass in a blur. The wedding party gathers, the guests take their seats, and the anticipation in the air is palpable. I'm on autopilot, going through the motions, shaking hands, exchanging pleasantries. I keep my eyes on the crowd, scanning for any sign of Emily's ex, but he's still nowhere to be seen. It's unsettling, but I can't afford to get distracted. Finally, the moment arrives. The music starts, and I take my place at the altar, Jason standing beside me. The doors open, and Emily appears, walking down the aisle in a vision of white. She's stunning, radiant even, but all I see is the deception beneath the surface. My stomach churns, a mix of anger and disgust swirling inside me. As she reaches the altar, she smiles at me. That same smile that once made my heart race. Now it makes my skin crawl. I force myself to smile back, knowing what's coming, knowing this is the last time I'll ever look at her this way. The officiant begins the ceremony, his voice a dull hum in my ears. I'm barely listening, my mind focused on what I need to do next. I feel the weight of my phone in my pocket, the recording just a swipe away. I glance at Jason, who gives me a subtle nod. He's ready, I'm ready. "Do you, Emily, take this man to be your lawfully wedded husband, to have and to hold, in sickness and in health, for richer or for poorer, until death do you part?" the officiant asks. Emily's eyes lock onto mine, and she opens her mouth to respond. But before she can speak, I raise my hand, stopping her. "Wait," I say, my voice loud and clear. The room falls silent, all eyes on me. Emily looks confused, her smile faltering. "I can't do this," I continue, pulling out my phone. "There's something everyone here needs to hear." A murmur ripples through the crowd, but I ignore it, focusing on Emily. Her eyes widen in panic as she realizes what's happening, but it's too late. I tap the screen, and the recording plays, filling the room with her voice. "Honey, don't worry. My marriage won't impact our love. As soon as I get his money, I'll get you out of jail." The silence that follows is deafening. I watch as the color drains from Emily's face, her eyes darting around the room, searching for a way out. But there is none. The truth is out, and there's no going back. Gasps and whispers fill the air as the recording continues, revealing more of her plan, her deceit. I feel a strange sense of satisfaction, but it's tinged with a hollow ache. This isn't how it was supposed to be. This isn't how love is supposed to end. Suddenly, there's a commotion at the back of the room. I turn just in time to see Emily's ex, his face twisted in anger, pushing his way through the crowd. He's headed straight for me, and I brace myself, ready for whatever comes next. Before he can reach me, Jason and a few other groomsmen step in, blocking his path. "Get out of here," Jason snarls, shoving him back. But the man doesn't back down. He lunges forward, trying to get past them, his eyes locked on me. I can see the rage, the desperation, and I realize too late that this is more than just a scorned lover. This is a man with nothing to lose. "Call the police," I shout, but the words barely leave my mouth before the man breaks free, rushing toward me with a wild look in his eyes. I don't have time to react, don't have time to think. Everything happens in a blur. I feel a sharp pain in my side as he slams into me, and we both go crashing to the ground. The next few moments are a chaotic mix of shouts, struggling bodies, and the cold, hard floor beneath me. I hear Jason yelling, feel hands pulling the man off me, but all I can focus on is the pain radiating from my side. I touch the spot, my fingers coming away wet and sticky with blood. I try to push myself up, but the room spins, the edges of my vision going dark. I hear Emily screaming, but it's distant, like she's on the other side of a thick wall. Everything is muffled, the sounds blending together in a confusing, disorienting mess. I'm dimly aware of people rushing around me, of Jason's voice shouting something I can't quite make out. Then suddenly the pressure eases, and I'm lying on the floor staring up at the ceiling, struggling to stay conscious. Emily's ex is restrained, pinned to the ground by several guests. The room is in chaos, people shouting, crying, and trying to understand what just happened. I hear sirens in the distance, growing louder by the second. Jason is by my side, his face pale, eyes wide with fear. "Hang on, man," he says, his voice shaking. "The ambulance is on its way. Just stay with me." I try to respond to tell him I'm okay, but the words catch in my throat. My vision blurs, the pain in my side pulsing in time with my heartbeat. I close my eyes, focusing on staying awake, on the sounds around me, on anything but the cold, creeping numbness spreading through my body. The last thing I see before everything goes dark is Emily's face, twisted in horror and disbelief. For a brief moment, our eyes meet, and I see something there I didn't expect. Regret. But it's too late for that now. The truth is out, and there's no taking it back. When I finally come to, I'm in a hospital bed, the sterile smell of disinfectant filling my nose. My side aches, a dull throbbing pain that reminds me of what happened. I blink, trying to clear the fog from my mind, to remember how I got here. Jason is sitting by the bed, his head in his hands. When he notices I'm awake, he looks up, relief flooding his face. "You're awake," he says, standing quickly. "Thank God." I try to speak, but my throat is dry, the words coming out as a croak. Jason grabs a cup of water from the table and helps me take a sip. The cool liquid soothes my throat, and I manage to ask, "What happened?" "You were stabbed," he says, his voice tight. "Emily's ex, he lost it. The police took him away. He's not going to hurt you again." I nod, the memories flooding back, the wedding, the confrontation, the pain. I close my eyes, the weight of it all crashing down on me. It's over, but at what cost? Jason gives me a look I can't quite read. "Emily's gone," he says softly. "She ran off after the police came. They're looking for her, but she's gone." I don't know how to feel about that. Part of me is relieved. Part of me feels hollow. She's gone, but the damage she did lingers, festering like an open wound. "She'll get what's coming to her," Jason adds, trying to be reassuring, but his words fall flat. I turn my head, staring out the window, watching the sun set in a blaze of orange and red. It's beautiful, but I can't enjoy it. Not now, maybe not ever. The truth is, this isn't the end. It's just the beginning of a different kind of nightmare. The wedding ceremony begins, and I can barely feel my legs as I stand at the altar. The tension is unbearable, and my heart is pounding in my chest like a drum. Everything around me feels distant, muted, as if I'm watching the scene unfold from outside my own body. The guests are seated, the music is playing, and there she is, walking down the aisle toward me, the woman I thought I loved. Emily looks breathtaking in her white dress, a vision of purity and innocence, but I know the truth beneath that facade. It's a cruel irony, and the bile rises in my throat as I struggle to keep my composure. As she reaches me, I force myself to take her hand, to look into her eyes. She smiles at me, that same smile that once made my heart flutter. Now it only fills me with disgust. The officiant begins to speak, his words a blur in my ears as I focus on what I'm about to do. My hand tightens around the small device in my pocket, the recording that will shatter her perfect world. The vows start. My voice is steady, but it feels hollow, the words meaningless. Emily recites her vows with a soft, loving tone that makes my skin crawl. How can she stand here and lie so effortlessly? How can she look at me with those eyes, pretending to be the devoted fiancé when she's been planning my betrayal all along? The officiant asked if anyone has any objections, and I almost expect someone to stand up, to reveal the truth for me, but the room is silent. It's now or never. My pulse races as the moment I've been waiting for arrives. "Do you, Emily, take this man to be your lawfully wedded husband?" the officiant asks. Emily's eyes meet mine, and I see a flicker of something. Maybe doubt, maybe fear, but it's too late for her now. Just as she opens her mouth to say "I do," I pull out the device. "Wait," I say, my voice cutting through the room like a knife. Every head turns toward me, confusion rippling through the guests. Emily's smile falters, her eyes widening in surprise. "What are you doing?" she whispers, her grip on my hand tightening. "There's something everyone here needs to hear," I say, my voice steady but laced with a cold fury. I hold up the device, and before anyone can react, I press play. Emily's voice fills the room, her words clear and unmistakable. "Honey, don't worry. My marriage won't impact our love. As soon as I get his money, I'll get you out of jail." The room erupts in gasps and whispers. I see the shock, the disbelief on the faces of our friends and family. Emily's hand slips from mine as she stumbles back, her face drained of color. She looks around frantically as if searching for a way out, but there's nowhere to go. The truth is out, and there's no escaping it. You recorded me?" she stammers, her voice trembling with a mix of fear and anger. I meet her gaze, my expression hard as stone. "You were going to destroy me, Emily. I'm just returning the favor." She shakes her head, tears welling up in her eyes. "No, you don't understand. I understand perfectly." I cut her off, my voice cold. "You were using me. You never loved me. You were just after my money to help your criminal lover." "Well, guess what? It's over. You're not getting a damn thing." The guests are in chaos now, some standing in shock, others whispering furiously to each other. Emily's parents look mortified, her mother with a hand over her mouth, her father's face a mask of rage. I can see my mother in the crowd, her eyes filled with a mixture of satisfaction and sadness. She always had her doubts about Emily, and now she knows she was right. Emily's composure shatters. She breaks down, her tears flowing freely as she drops to her knees in front of me. "Please, I'm sorry," she sobs. "I didn't mean for it to go this far. I was desperate and—" "Don't," I say sharply, taking a step back. "Don't you dare try to play the victim now. You knew exactly what you were doing." Before she can say anything more, there's a sudden commotion at the back of the room. I turn just in time to see Emily's ex-lover, disheveled, wild-eyed, bursting through the doors, pushing past the guests with a look of pure rage on his face. He's making a beeline straight for me. "Get out of here," Jason shouts, stepping in front of me. But it's too late. The man lunges, swinging wildly, and chaos erupts. I'm shoved back, losing my balance as Jason and a few others try to restrain the man. But he's strong, fueled by desperation and anger. The next few moments are a blur of shouts, fists flying, and the crashing of chairs as the guests scramble to get out of the way. I feel a sharp pain in my side as I'm knocked to the ground, the breath knocked out of me. I try to get up, but the world is spinning, my vision blurring as the pain intensifies. Somehow, through the confusion, I see Emily's ex being dragged away, still shouting incoherently as the guests finally manage to restrain him. Emily is on the floor, sobbing uncontrollably, reaching out for me, but I can't focus on her. The pain in my side is all-consuming, a hot, searing agony that leaves me gasping for breath. Jason is by my side in an instant, his face pale with fear. "Hang on, man." "The paramedics are on their way," he says, his voice tight with panic. I try to nod, try to say something, but the words won't come. Everything is fading, the sounds of the room growing distant, the faces around me blurring into indistinct shapes. I close my eyes, the pain and exhaustion pulling me under like a dark tide. When I wake up, I'm in a hospital bed. The sterile smell of disinfectant fills my nose, and the dull ache in my side is a constant reminder of what happened. My throat is dry, my mouth parched, but I manage to croak out a few words, calling for a nurse. A few minutes later, a nurse comes in, checking my vitals, giving me a glass of water. "You're lucky," she says with a gentle smile. "It could have been a lot worse." I nod weakly, taking a sip of the water. The cool liquid soothes my dry throat, but it does little to ease the turmoil in my mind. I was so close to ending this nightmare, but now it feels like I've only made things worse. Jason arrives shortly after, looking relieved to see me awake. He pulls up a chair beside the bed, his expression serious. "How are you feeling?" "Like I've been hit by a truck," I mutter, wincing as I shift in the bed. The painkillers are dulling the worst of it, but I can still feel the throbbing in my side. Jason leans forward, his voice low. "The police took that guy away. He's going to be locked up for a long time." "And Emily?" I ask, my voice strained. Jason hesitates, and that's all the answer I need. "She's gone," he says finally. "Ran off before the cops could get to her. They're looking for her, but—" He trails off, his expression grim. I close my eyes, the weight of everything crashing down on me. Emily is gone, but the damage she's done is still here, festering like an open wound. The truth is out, but it doesn't feel like a victory. It feels like I've lost something I'll never get back. "There's more," Jason says quietly, and I open my eyes to see him holding a small envelope. "This was left at the hospital for you. No one knows who dropped it off." A cold chill runs down my spine as I take the envelope, my hands shaking slightly. I tear it open, pulling out a single sheet of paper. The words are scrawled in a hurried, almost frantic hand. "This isn't over. You've ruined everything and you'll pay for it. Watch at your back." I feel the blood drain from my face as I read the note, my heart pounding in my chest. Jason's voice is a distant hum in my ears as I stare at the words, the threat sinking in like a blade. This nightmare is far from over, and now I'm caught in the middle of something much darker than I ever imagined. I fold the note, my mind racing. Emily may be gone, but her shadow still looms over me. I know I can't go back to the life I had before. Too much has changed, and now I'm tangled in a web of lies, deceit, and danger that I don't fully understand. But one thing is clear. I can't let my guard down. Not now, not ever. I'm going to have to fight, to protect myself and to find a way out of this mess before it's too late. Jason watches me carefully, his concern evident. "What are you going to do?" I take a deep breath, the weight of the situation pressing down on me. "I don't know," I admit, my voice barely above a whisper. "But whatever it is, I have to be ready." The sense of victory I felt at the wedding is gone, replaced by a cold, hard resolve. This isn't over, and I'm not going to let them win. I'll find a way to end this, once and for all, no matter what it takes. I'm back in my apartment, staring at the documents spread across my dining table. Legal papers, evidence, everything Martin and I have gathered to press charges against Emily. My side still aches from the stab wound, a constant reminder of how far this has spiraled out of control. But I can't focus on the pain. I have to keep moving forward. I have to make sure she pays for what she's done. Martin's voice on the phone is firm, guiding me through the next steps. "We have enough to file a lawsuit for marriage fraud," he says, "but we need to act fast before she can disappear again. I'm also advising you to freeze your accounts and change all your passwords. Don't leave anything vulnerable." I nod, even though he can't see me. "I'll take care of it. What about her ex? Is he still locked up?" "For now," Martin replies. "But he's dangerous, and I wouldn't be surprised if he has connections on the outside. You need to be cautious." Cautious. I'm beyond cautious. I'm paranoid, constantly looking over my shoulder, expecting someone to come after me. Emily's gone, but she's left a trail of destruction behind her, and I'm standing in the middle of it. After the call, I sit back, running a hand through my hair. My apartment feels empty, cold. This place used to be our home, the space where Emily and I built our life together, or so I thought. Now it's just a shell, filled with memories I can't stand to face. I've already packed up her things, boxing them away in the closet, but her presence lingers like a ghost. I want to burn it all, to erase every trace of her, but I know that won't change what's happened. It won't bring back the trust she shattered. I pick up my phone, scrolling through the contacts until I find Jason's name. I hesitate, my finger hovering over the screen. I've leaned on him too much lately, dragged him into my mess, but I can't do this alone. I need to talk to someone who understands, someone who won't judge me for still feeling conflicted, for still caring despite everything. When he answers, his voice is tired. Hey man, how are you holding up? Better, I guess, I lie, trying to sound more confident than I feel. Martin's moving forward with the lawsuit. I'm just trying to get everything in order. Jason sighs. You're doing the right thing. She deserves to be held accountable. But you also need to think about yourself. This, this isn't healthy. You need to start moving on. I know, I say, but the words feel hollow. Moving on seems impossible when every corner of my life is tainted by what she did. You should get out of the apartment for a while, Jason suggests. Come stay with me or take a trip. Clear your head. I consider it the idea of escaping, of leaving all this behind for a while. But then I remember the note, the threat left at the hospital. This isn't over. The words still haunt me, a constant reminder that someone out there wants me to pay. If I leave, I'll be vulnerable, exposed. And that's exactly what they want. I can't, I finally say, not yet. There's too much at stake. Jason doesn't push, but I can hear the concern in his voice. Just don't shut everyone out. We're here for you. Thanks, I say quietly, knowing I should be grateful for his support, but feeling more isolated than ever. I hang up and stare at the blank walls of my apartment. I need to do something, anything, to regain control of my life. I grab my laptop and start typing, pulling up the financial records, the accounts Emily tried to access. I change passwords, lock down everything I can think of. It's a small comfort, a way to protect myself from further damage, but it doesn't feel like enough. As the days pass, the lawsuit against Emily progresses. Martin is relentless, pushing forward with the evidence we have, making sure there's no way she can slip through the cracks. The legal battle is intense, draining, but it's the only thing keeping me going. Every court document, every motion filed is a step closer to justice, a step closer to closure. But just as I start to feel a semblance of control, the threats begin again. This time they're more direct. A phone call in the middle of the night, the voice on the other end distorted but unmistakably menacing. You think you've won, but you haven't. This isn't over. We're coming for you. I hang up, my hands shaking, my heart racing. I check the locks on my doors, the security system, everything I can think of to keep myself safe. But it doesn't stop the fear from creeping in, from taking hold. I'm constantly on edge, jumping at every sound, every shadow. I don't sleep, can't eat, can't think straight. The paranoia is suffocating, but I can't let it break me. I have to stay strong to see this through. Martin increases security measures, hiring a private investigator to trace the source of the threats. But they're careful, whoever they are, leaving no trace behind. It's like they're ghosts, always a step ahead, always watching. One evening, after a long day of legal battles, I find myself back in the apartment, staring at the boxes of Emily's things. I haven't touched them since I packed them away, but now they feel like a weight I can't bear. I grab one of the boxes, dragging it out into the living room. I open it, rifling through the contents, and it's like a punch to the gut. Photos of us, love letters, mementos of a life that never really existed. It's all a lie, every last bit of it. I pull out a framed photo of the two of us from our first trip together. We're on the beach, smiling, arms wrapped around each other. I remember that day so clearly, how happy I was, how sure I felt about our future. Now the sight of it makes me want to scream. I throw the photo across the room, the glass shattering against the wall, but it doesn't make me feel any better. The anger, the hurt, it's all still there, boiling under the surface. I slump onto the couch, burying my face in my hands. How did it come to this? How did I let myself get so wrapped up in her lies, in her betrayal? I was so blind, so stupid. And now I'm paying the price. The sound of my phone ringing jolts me from my thoughts. It's Martin. I pick up, trying to steady my voice. What's going on? We've hit a snag, Martin says, his tone grim. Emily's lawyer is pushing back hard. They're claiming that the recording you played at the wedding was obtained illegally. that it can't be used as evidence. My stomach drops. But it's the only proof we have. Without it, I know, Martin cuts in, but we're not giving up. We're going to fight this, but it's going to get messy. And it means this whole thing is going to drag out even longer. I close my eyes, the weight of his words pressing down on me. I thought I was close to the end, close to finally putting this behind me. But now it feels like I'm right back where I started, trapped in this nightmare with no way out. Just tell me what I need to do, I say, my voice hollow. We'll go over the options tomorrow, Martin says. In the meantime, lay low. Don't do anything rash. We'll get through this. I nod, even though he can't see me. Okay. We hang up, and I'm left alone in the silence of my apartment. The fear, the frustration, it's all overwhelming, but I can't let it consume me. I have to keep fighting, no matter how hopeless it feels. The next day, I meet with Martin to discuss our next move. We go over the legal options, the potential pitfalls, but it all feels like a blur. My mind is elsewhere, focused on the threats, on the shadow that's been hanging over me since the wedding. I can't shake the feeling that something bad is coming, something I won't be able to stop. As the weeks go by, the court battles continue, and I find myself sinking deeper into despair. The threats haven't stopped, and neither has the fear. I'm constantly looking over my shoulder, waiting for the next shoe to drop. But there's nothing, just silence. And that silence is worse than anything. Then one night, as I'm locking up the apartment, I hear a noise outside. My heart leaps into my throat as I grab the nearest object, a heavy lamp, and creep toward the door. I peer through the peephole, my breath caught in my chest. Nothing, just the empty hallway. I'm about to turn away when I see it, a shadow moving in the corner of my vision. I freeze, the fear gripping me so tightly I can't breathe. I stand there waiting, my heart pounding so loudly I'm sure whoever is out there can hear it. And then slowly the shadow moves again, this time slipping past the door, heading toward the stairs. I don't know what compels me, but I open the door just a crack, enough to see a figure disappearing down the stairs. Whoever it was, they're gone now, but the fear lingers, gnawing at my insides. I slam the door shut, locking it and double-checking every bolt, every window. I can't shake the feeling that I've been watched, that they were right outside my door, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. I collapse onto the couch, the lamp still clutched in my hand. My mind is racing, 1,000 thoughts colliding all at once. I can't live like this, can't keep waiting for the hammer to fall. Something has to give, and soon. The next morning, I call Martin and tell him about the shadow, about the feeling of being watched. He's concerned, but there's not much he can do beyond urging me to stay vigilant. We're almost there, he says, trying to reassure me. Once we get through this trial, it'll be over. She won't be able to hurt you anymore. But I'm not so sure. I can feel it in my bones. This isn't over. And the closer we get to the trial, the more I realize that whatever's coming next is going to push me to the edge. The note burns in my mind as I pace around my apartment, trying to piece together who could be behind the threats. I'm no closer to an answer, but the fear that has gripped me since the wedding is now turning into something else, anger. I've been on the defensive for too long. It's time to take control. I sit down at my desk and pull out the file Martin put together on Emily's ex. The man is dangerous, connected to a network of criminals, but he's not invincible. I need to find a way to neutralize him before he makes another move. I call Martin, my voice clipped and urgent. We need to find out who's been threatening me. I want names, locations, anything that can lead us to whoever's behind this. I'm already on it, Martin says, but you need to be careful. If you go after them, you might be walking into a trap. I don't care, I snap. I'm done being a victim. Martin pauses, then sighs. I'll get my investigator on it, but you need to keep a low profile until we have something solid. Don't do anything reckless. I hang up without answering. Reckless or not, I'm going to end this. I spend the rest of the day planning, going over everything I know about Emily's ex and his associates. The more I dig, the more I realize just how deep this goes. It's not just about the money or the fraud. There's something bigger at play, something I was never supposed to find out. That night, I'm woken by a noise outside my apartment. I freeze, straining to hear over the pounding of my heart. There it is again, a faint rustling, like someone moving outside my door. I grab the lamp from my bedside table, the same one I held the last time I felt this vulnerable. I creep to the door, holding my breath, and peer through the peephole. Nothing, just the empty hallway. But I know someone was there. I can feel it in the air, the way the hairs on the back of my neck stand on end. They're watching me, waiting for the right moment to strike. I sleep with one eye open, the lamp clutched in my hand like a weapon. The next morning, I find an envelope slid under my door. My stomach churns as I open it, revealing a single photograph, a grainy image of me sitting in my living room, taken through the window. There's no note, no message, but the implication is clear. They can get to me anytime, anywhere. I call Martin again, my voice shaking with anger. They're watching me. They sent a picture, taken from outside my window. Damn it, Martin mutters. We need to get you somewhere safe. I'll call the investigator, see if we can trace where the photo was taken from. In the meantime, you need to stay calm. Don't let them scare you into making a mistake. But it's too late for that. I'm already scared, and I'm done hiding. I spend the next few hours packing a bag, preparing for whatever comes next. I don't know where I'll go, but I can't stay here. Not when they're this close. As I'm zipping up my bag, my phone rings again. It's a number I don't recognize, but I answer it anyway, my heart in my throat. Hello? I say, my voice trembling slightly. There's a pause, then a familiar voice crackles through the line. You should have just let it go. My blood runs cold. It's Emily. After all this time, she finally reached out. I grip the phone tighter, forcing myself to stay calm. Where are you, Emily? She laughs, a bitter, hollow sound. Does it matter? You've ruined everything. I had a plan, and you destroyed it. You tried to destroy me, I snap. You lied, cheated, and then ran when things didn't go your way. You don't get to play the victim. Maybe not, she says, her voice suddenly flat. But you're not innocent in all this. You think you're the hero exposing the bad guys, but you've made enemies, and they're not going to stop until you pay. The line goes dead, leaving me with nothing but the sound of my own ragged breathing. I stare at the phone, the weight of her words pressing down on me. She's right. I've made enemies, and now I have to face the consequences. I know what I have to do. I can't keep waiting for them to come to me. I need to take the fight to them, to end this on my terms. I grab my bag and head out, locking the door behind me. I don't know where I'm going, but I know I can't do this alone. I need to confront Emily, to make her understand that this ends now. I drive for hours, the city lights blurring past me as I try to figure out my next move. I think about everything that's happened, every lie, every betrayal, and I feel the anger burning hotter inside me. Emily was the catalyst for all this, but now it's bigger than her. It's about survival, about not letting these people destroy me. Eventually, I pull over at a rest stop and start making calls. I reach out to contacts, old friends who owe me favors, anyone who might have information on where Emily is hiding. It's a long shot, but I have to try. I can't just sit back and wait for them to come for me. After what feels like an eternity, I finally get a lead. You saw him. A small town a few hours away where Emily was spotted a few days ago. It's not much, but it's a start. I thank the contact and hang up, my mind racing. I have no idea what I'll find when I get there, but I can't turn back now. The drive is long and tense, every shadow on the road making me jump, every car that passes feeling like a potential threat. By the time I reach the town, it's late, and the streets are nearly deserted. I park on a quiet side street and start walking, my eyes scanning every building, every alley, looking for any sign of her. I check into a small motel under a fake name, paying cash to avoid leaving a trail. The room is dingy, the bed lumpy, but I don't care. I'm not here for comfort. I'm here to end this. I spend the next day following up on the lead, asking questions, making discreet inquiries. It's slow going, and I can feel the frustration building. but I don't give up. I can't. Finally, I catch a break. A bartender at a rundown bar on the edge of town remembers seeing Emily. He tells me she was with a man, someone who fits the description of her ex. They were arguing, but he didn't catch much else before they left. He gives me the name of a motel they were staying at, and I feel a surge of hope. I'm close. I can feel it. I head to the motel, my heart pounding in my chest. The place is a dump, the kind of place where people go when they don't want to be found. I walk up to the front desk, trying to keep my voice steady as I ask about a room. The clerk barely looks up, handing me a key without asking any questions. I make my way to the room, every step heavy with dread. This is it. Whatever happens next, it all ends here. I take a deep breath, steadying myself, then knock on the door. There's a pause, then the door creaks open, and there she is. Emily, looking just as I remember her, but there's something different in her eyes, something broken. She stares at me, her face pale, her hands trembling slightly. "What do you want?" she asks, her voice barely above a whisper. "I want this to be over," I say, stepping inside. "I want you to tell me who's been threatening me, who's been watching me." She shakes her head, backing away from me. "You don't understand. It's not that simple." "Make me understand," I demand, my voice rising, "because I'm done playing games. If you don't tell me the truth, You'll what?" A voice interrupts from behind me, and I freeze. I turn slowly to see Emily's ex standing in the doorway, a gun in his hand, pointed straight at me. "I told you to let it go," he says, his voice cold and calm. "But you didn't listen." My heart races, my mind scrambling for a way out, but there's no escape. I'm trapped between them, with nowhere to run. "Please," I say, my voice shaking, "you don't have to do this." He smiles, a cruel, twisted smile. "But I do. You've made this too complicated. You should have just let her go." He steps closer, the gun steady in his hand, and I know this is it. I've come all this way, only to end up staring down the barrel of a gun. But then something shifts in Emily's eyes. She looks at me, then back at her ex, and I see her resolve harden. She moves quickly, stepping between us, her hand grabbing for the gun. "Don't," she says, her voice strong. This isn't how it's supposed to end. There's a struggle, a flash of movement, and suddenly the gun goes off. The sound is deafening in the small room, and for a moment I can't tell who's been hit. Then I see Emily crumple to the floor, blood pooling beneath her. Her ex stares down at her in shock, the gun slipping from his hand as he backs away. I don't think, I just react, tackling him to the ground, my fists pounding into him with everything I have left. The rage, the fear, it all comes pouring out as I fight for my life, for my sanity. Finally, he stops struggling, lying still beneath me. I stagger to my feet, breathing hard, my vision swimming. I glance at Emily, but I know it's too late. She's gone. The room is silent, the only sound my ragged breathing. I don't know how long I stand there, staring at the scene in front of me, but eventually I hear sirens in the distance, drawing closer. Help is coming, but it's too late for her. Too late for both of them. I collapse onto the bed, my body shaking with adrenaline and exhaustion. It's over. The nightmare is finally over, but as I sit there, staring at the lifeless bodies on the floor, I don't feel relief. I don't feel anything. Just a numb, empty void where all the fear and anger used to be. The sirens grow louder, and I know the police will be here soon. They'll ask questions, try to piece together what happened, but I don't have any answers. All I know is that I survived. But at what cost? The weeks after the confrontation are a blur of police interviews, legal proceedings, and sleepless nights. I find myself in a strange, surreal state, numb, yet hyper-aware of everything around me. The apartment feels like a prison, its walls closing in, trapping me in the memories of everything that's happened. I replay the events in my mind over and over, trying to make sense of it all. But there's no sense to be found. Just a hollow, aching void where my life used to be. I spend hours staring out the window, watching the world go by, feeling disconnected from it all. The police cleared me of any wrongdoing. It was clear self-defense. But that doesn't erase the weight of what happened. Emily is dead, her ex is in custody, and yet I feel no closure. Just an endless cycle of what-ifs and could-have-beens. Martin visits often, helping me sort through the legal aftermath. We talk about the court case, the paperwork, the assets that need to be protected, but it's all just noise to me. I go through the motions, signing documents, answering questions, but my mind is elsewhere. You need to take a break, Martin says one day, his voice gentle but firm. Get out of the city, go somewhere to clear your head. I can't, I reply automatically, even though I know he's right. There's nothing left for me here. Nothing but ghosts. You can and you should, he insists. You've been through hell. You need to give yourself time to heal. Heal. The word seems foreign, almost laughable. How do you heal from something like this? How do you move on when your life has been ripped apart, leaving nothing but jagged edges? But I nod, promising to think about it, even though I have no intention of going anywhere. The thought of being alone, truly alone, terrifies me. I've lost everything, my fiancé, my sense of security, my peace of mind. What's left to hold on to? As the days turn into weeks, the court battle drags on. The media picks up on the story, sensationalizing every detail. I become a reluctant figure in the public eye, the man who exposed his cheating fiancée and survived a deadly encounter. They paint me as a hero, a victim, but I don't feel like either. I'm just a man trying to piece together what's left of his life. Eventually, the legal proceedings come to an end. Emily's assets are seized, and her family is forced to pay restitution. Her ex is sentenced to a lengthy prison term, and I'm free to move on. But what does that even mean? Move on to what? The life I had before is gone, shattered beyond repair. I'm not the same person I was, and I'm not sure who I am anymore. One morning I wake up to find an invitation in the mail. It's from Jason inviting me to his wedding. I stare at the ornate envelope, my hands trembling slightly. The last wedding I attended was supposed to be mine, and we all know how that turned out. The thought of standing in another church, watching another couple exchange vows, fills me with a deep, gnawing dread. But I can't say no. Jason has been there for me through everything. I owe it to him to be there on his big day. The day of the wedding arrives, and I force myself to get dressed, donning the suit I haven't worn since my own wedding that wasn't. It feels strange, almost like stepping into someone else's life. I drive to the venue, my stomach in knots, wondering if I'm making a mistake. But I keep going, one foot in front of the other, because what else is there to do? The ceremony is beautiful, simple, elegant, everything mine was supposed to be. As I watch Jason and his bride exchange vows, I feel a pang of something deep inside. Not jealousy exactly, but a wistful longing for what could have been, for the life I thought I was going to have before everything went so terribly wrong. After the ceremony, I slip away from the crowd, needing a moment to clear my head. I wander through the gardens surrounding the church, breathing in the cool, crisp air. It's quiet here, peaceful, a stark contrast to the chaos that's been my life for so long. Mind if I join you? I turn to see a woman standing a few feet away, a soft smile on her lips. She's beautiful, with kind eyes and a warmth about her that immediately puts me at ease. I nod, gesturing for her to sit beside me on the bench. Jason's wedding, right? She asks, settling in next to me. I'm a friend of the bride's. You look like you could use a friend. I laugh softly, the sound surprising me. Yeah, I guess I could. We sit in comfortable silence for a moment, watching the breeze play through the trees. She doesn't press me for details, doesn't ask questions I'm not ready to answer. She just sits with me, her presence a quiet comfort in the midst of everything. I heard a bit about what happened, she says gently after a while. I can't imagine what you've been through. I nod, not trusting myself to speak. The memories are still too raw, too painful, but there's something in her voice that makes me feel like I don't have to carry it all alone. It gets easier, she says, her voice soft but steady. It never goes away, but it gets easier. You learn to live with it, to find new ways to be happy. Her words sink in slowly, like water seeping into dry soil. Maybe she's right. Maybe there's still a chance for me to find some kind of peace, some kind of future that isn't defined by what happened. We talk for a while longer, about nothing in particular. Life, work, the wedding. There's no pressure, no expectations, just two people finding solace in each other's company. It's more than I've had in a long time. As the sun begins to set, casting a warm, golden light over the garden, she stands to leave. "It was nice talking to you," she says, giving me that soft smile again. "I hope you find what you're looking for." I watch her walk away, feeling something I haven't felt in a long time, a glimmer of hope. Maybe this is the start of something new. Maybe after everything, there's still a chance for me to rebuild, to find happiness again. As I head back to the reception, I feel lighter, like a weight has been lifted from my shoulders. I'm not healed, not by a long shot, but for the first time in what feels like forever, I believe that healing is possible. And maybe, just maybe, that's enough.